Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Hertz Tribe, Echo Trade Group, with your end of day recap for Tuesday, the 12th, and new highs for the indices. So S&P was up about 35 basis points today, and another new high today after yesterday's nice performance. So a pretty small range again. When you look at the overall indices, very little from basically at 9:30 in the morning, maybe to where we finished up 5 basis points, but there's a lot of movers there, and I was just kind of commenting. One of the last comments we made in the trading room today was, I'd love to see when. Oh, there's a new deal on the tape. Centene to buy Fidelis assets for $3.7 billion. But just to finish the thought, um, it's great to make some money on some of the things that are really moving when the S&P is, when the market really is not moving that much. I mean, again, granted, a nice move up, about 30 basis points today from top to bottom, but there were opportunities to trade today. So, really nice performance. Let me just go through a couple things that really caught my eye. First of all, we'll talk about the banks. They were the best performers of the day. So they've continued to come back here. And that's probably my only loser that I have right now on the books is I actually went short here on this break. I had my chance, I guess, to cover yesterday, but I don't mind having a little bit of protection on right now. But they're strong, and they've been really strong the last 3 days since falling apart. You got an MACD crossover here as well, so pretty strong looking. Um, so that's the best performer today. Also, energy was pretty strong today. XOP was up 2%. Nat gas was very strong. So this is trying to come out of the 50-day moving average, which is the purple line, which I wasn't even going to talk too much about energy. But nat gas is the one that I want to go to, not oil. Oil really continues to not do too much here. But nat gas was up about 2% today. So those are amongst the performers. And here's where it gets a little bit more interesting. Home builders do 52-week highs. So they call it home construction, but there's really more home builders in this ETF than anything else. Really strong performance. I had an order of DHI that I've been basically holding for about a month, I would say. Real nice performance today. I may have gotten out of it a little bit too early today, but some of these trades where you hold on to for a while in options, you get an itchy trigger finger when you have a day where you're finally have one of these real big candles. So huge winner for DHI after kind of added to this like right in here towards the end of August. So actually, I guess I wasn't holding it that long, but real nice performer there. And then the list kind of just goes on from there. I guess I could talk about the Chinese internet names again. I mean, this is just getting absolutely ridiculous. Up another 1%. Fresh MACD crossover. So, you just really haven't had too many dips to kind of buy this group. And I love it when you look at a whole group and see what it's doing. It's not just one name in the group. But Baidu looks really interesting here. I've been long Baidu since earnings, basically, and it's now starting to move nicely. This BZUN, my goodness, I've got long this name in here as well on the dips, and I mean this thing is just out of control. Up another 8.5% today, up to almost $3 today. This name does move and is quite volatile, but yeah, I mean, really strong looking. And then, if you're looking for something new that's just kind of poking its head out is JD.com. So, it's been sitting since earnings, has went down, had a real nice run, of course, into earnings. But since the earnings report, which was a strong report, it's basically just been down, since from 46 bucks to 43 and is now over the 50-day moving average. So first nice close. First nice close above the 50-day moving average. So we structured some trades in the trading room today on JD.com. Some people have been kind of sitting through this chop, and very nice patience in this if you have. So that's another star one. I could probably talk about three or four more names in that group, but I'll move on. The healthcare continues to break out. That's the XLV ETF. So I know everybody's been focused on IBB, but IBB has actually been underperforming a little bit. Again, XBI, which I give this explanation all the time, but it's small cap and large cap. Small cap and large cap biotechs, but XLV healthcare is really where the strength has been the last week. That has really picked up nice, which is a nice segue into Pfizer. Holy cow! I mentioned on Twitter that I got long Pfizer a couple days ago. We saw some calls go up. These were the October and December calls that went up aggressively. And I looked at this order when it went up and I said, really, they're even buying Pfizer. This was one of those days. I think it was it was Thursday, where everything healthcare was just had momentum to the upside. And I was like, wow, they're even buying Pfizer calls, a name that just doesn't move with a lot of momentum. And I took this trade. I went out to January and I said, it's a cheap trade. I don't trade Pfizer a lot, but the implied volatility is so low in the options. So this was a double. I think I went into this trade for about 50 cents and excuse me, I think it was a little bit more than that, 64 cents, and took some targets up at $1.20 today. So really, really strong. And then so this is last Thursday's activity. Then I don't know what they were up to today. They like annihilated some options. I mean, they bought, it appears to be a buy, 58,000 January 36 calls. So I already took two targets in this trade when I saw this huge block go up. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm not going to sell anymore. I want to see where this thing goes to. If they're going out and they're buying more of them, and a hell of a lot more. Look at the trading activity today. Today, I mean, look at this. So some momentum guys were in there too, versus the first trade that we saw back on Thursday. So it's just a huge home run of a trade that was put on just a couple days ago. So yeah, so that's a few of the names that really moved today. I mean, you just kind of look up and down the list today, just a lot of green. Retail was even up. We saw some activity there as well. Buffalo Wild Wings and Cake, from the lows. We caught this trade in the room today. I played this for a day trade. Just off I think it was either the first or the second bar, we saw the call buying and up and up it went. So really nice move. Cake was the other one. I did not participate in that one, but that one also had a nice move. Names like BBBY, full disclosure, when the calls went up in this one, I always like to tell you where the calls went up because some people were like, oh yeah, this thing was up 4%. The calls exploded higher. The trade went up at I think around lunchtime, so 13:30. Yeah, I mean here. So there's nothing really, no profits to be made on that option trade, but still they're looking for more upside in this name. But again, it's not a name where you would have crushed it today on the option activity. And again, they bought more of these in a couple of places. But again, 130 after the move was already made. So that was retail. So we covered a couple groups just to kind of scan down the list. With the Apple event today, I don't really play Apple on these days. I know some people do. IGT was another. Sorry, IGT just caught my eye. IGT was another trade. I think we talked about this one yesterday. So big follow through interest in this one. I went long, small position that I put on yesterday because they were so far out of the money, but big move, 2.5% up 50 cents. So for a $21 stock. So took a third of that position off, and nice winner. Real nice winner. Okay, so then we did see some semi names, into that Apple event. Cypress did pretty well today. Applied Materials, they've been going after this name the last couple days. This was a small trade today, but still kind of on my radar, considering that they've been buying this the last couple days. And another name that had good earnings. The only thing that concerns me here is this VPOC that was taken out. Which will sometimes, it's tough for names to kind of go launch right past it. It can happen, but usually it's a great place to take profits. And then the list continues. What else do we see today? Oh yeah, then we finally haven't seen much of this at all lately, but Amazon towards the end of the day, Amazon and Google calls both bought. Now they're both still they almost look like identical charts to me. I think the Google's a little bit stronger, but Amazon still can't get over the 50-day moving average. I personally would wait for a little bit of confirmation. Now, I started a small position, or I have a small position of Amazon, but really this thing needs to get over, for me, needs to get over the 50-day moving average and also the top of value, which lines up. Again, I love it when the value areas, which is 984.66, line up with the moving averages. So really above there, and I think it's definitely worth a shot for Amazon. Another one of those names. I talked about JD doing nothing after earnings. Same thing. Most of these names that had good earnings, they really haven't done anything. And I talked about this yesterday. I talked about how Google, same thing. Top of value and 50-day moving average. It almost looks identical, but there was some decent call buying going out for Amazon. It was out to November, I believe, the 990 strike. I believe it was. Again, just 360 contracts, but if you look at the size, it's $1 million premium trade. But again, I've talked about this before that the momentum in tech has not been those FANG stocks. It's been this thing took the day off, but the software and tech ETF, was has been really strong, and that's names like ATVI and Take Two, which we also saw more call buying in Take Two today. So plenty of things to do today, and names to make. I haven't traded Amgen, but I know people in the guys in the trading room have also been trading Amgen. So again, when you go back to the S&P, only up 30 basis points, you've got a number of names that have momentum, like Amgen. Really nice move the last couple days. That's been a favorite in the Tribeca Trade Group trading room. So what else? What else? I think that. The last trade, HEDJ. So I've been watching the DAX the last week. It's been really strong, bouncing. This is not the DAX, but it's similar. This is Europe stocks, and this is a bounce off the 200-day moving average. So what appears to be a buy order. It's tough for these ETFs, but it was 10,000 November 65 calls. I really like this trade. If you think the dollar is not going to be much of an impact, again, this is different than FEZ or EZU. This is European stocks, but with no FX exposure. So you have to keep in mind when you own FEZ, EZU, VGK, those European ETFs, you're essentially long the euro. This one hedges it out. And it's a little bit, it's a different picture. But I like this. November 65 calls, big block. And then the last thing, which I don't have on my list because I just wasn't really sure what this was, workday, 10,000 contracts go up from March 92 and a half. Again, no open interest on this at all, just a straight block trade. So it could be a substitution versus stock, but definitely kind of caught my eye. So that's it for today's recap. Really nice day. Again, I love the days where the market doesn't do all that much, up 20, 30 basis. Qs were up 20 basis points, but tons of opportunities out there. So thanks for watching tonight's video, and have a great day. I'll see you back in the trading room tomorrow morning. Thanks.